The ending of Fight Night, the $1 million heist finally clears up who was behind the infamous Atlanta robbery. Fight Night is based on the true story of a real-life armed robbery that was orchestrated in Atlanta on the night of Muhammad Ali's controversial return to boxing as an adamant opponent of the Vietnam War in 1970. The Peacock original series was based on the 2020 podcast of the same name and was adapted for television by Sheog Banner, whose other writing credits include God's Country, 2022, The Kai, 2022, and The Penguin Episode 5, 2024. Fight Night features an exceptional cast led by Kevin Hart, Taraji P. Henson, Samuel L. Jackson, Don Cheadle, and Terrence Howard. After Hart's Gordon Chicken Man Williams sets up an exclusive afterparty for some of the nation's most high-profile gangsters, things go sideways when the event becomes a hoax for an elaborate robbery. After escaping the robbery, Chicken Man works diligently with Detective J.D. Hudson, who was assigned to be Muhammad Ali's bodyguard during his time in Atlanta, to clear his name. Chicken Man must convince the dangerous group of gangsters known as the Firm, headed by Jackson's Frank Moten, that he wasn't the one who set up the robbery in the first place. Detective Hudson's off-the-books investigation explained. Hudson organized a secret sting operation after losing his badge. Don Cheadle as J.D. Hudson in Fight Night. Fight Night Episode 7 ends in a violent shootout that leaves all but one of the armed robbers dead. With Mac, Baby Ray, and Emerson, the latter of whom had convinced Chicken Man to host the afterparty, all dead, Willie Black, Miles Bullock, is the last survivor who knows the truth. Detective J.D. Hudson, who was stripped of his badge after punching a racist fellow Atlanta Police Department detective in the face, works covertly with Chicken Man to discover the truth about the robbery. Hudson risks the lives and reputation of the APD in order to catch the real orchestrator of the robbery, Richard Cadillac Wheeler Howard, confessing to the criminal scheme. Why Frank Moten didn't kill Chicken Man? Frank wanted to see how Cadillac would react. Frank Moten, Lamar, and Cadillac Ritchie sitting in front of a crowd in Fight Night. Towards the end of the Fight Night finale, Frank Moten had the opportunity to kill Chicken Man but refrained. He shoots a bullet into the typewriter on the desk behind him in order to make it appear to the firm outside, and most importantly Cadillac, like he killed Chicken Man for staging the robbery. Ultimately, Frank and Chicken Man are able to see eye to eye after Frank deduces that Cadillac has been playing him from the start. Making it seem like Chicken Man was dead was a key step in Frank's plan to expose Cadillac, which is exactly what ends up happening. Chicken Man also testifies in front of Frank and reveals his biggest flaws and regrets, which helps Frank to believe he is telling the truth. Why Lamar killed Willie Black and rescued Cadillac from arrest. Lamar had a secret arrangement with Cadillac despite apparent loyalty to Frank. Don Cheadle as Detective J.D. Hudson in Fight Night. Lamar shockingly kills Willie Black while he and Cadillac are arrested in the backseat of a police car. It appears that Lamar, who has been Frank's trusted right-hand man and enforcer throughout the series, had also been in on the robbery scheme with Cadillac despite being seemingly loyal to Frank. Lamar is ultimately arrested along with Cadillac once again at the end of Fight Night for murdering Willie Black in front of several police officers and igniting a deadly shootout. Lamar had interestingly killed the getaway driver Andre Muse in an earlier episode of Fight Night, presumably by Frank's request. As it turns out, Lamar was fulfilling Cadillac's orders to cut off every loose end. Cadillac's robbery plan and revenge against Frank Moten explained. Cadillac and his mother resented Frank for years. Taraji P. Henson and Artrice Johnson in Fight Night The $1 Million Heist. Cadillac's hatred for Frank Moten ran years back and even included his mother. Cadillac's father had worked for Frank for years and was mistreated by Frank's harsh leadership. As a result, Cadillac Ritchie and his mother both formed a deep resentment toward Frank and plotted to expose him for not being as powerful as he thought himself to be. Despite Cadillac's best efforts, he was the one who ended up getting exposed by the end of Fight Night even though his intentions to avenge his father were understandable. Frank shows Cadillac that he is one step ahead of him as usual and that his grand robbery scheme won't go without consequences.